Japan suffers from frequent earthquakes. Many Japanese buildings are equipped with creative earthquake-resistant features. Some absorb vibrations, while others float on their foundations. Even wooden buildings, centuries old, feature ingenious techniques that reflect the knowledge of generations past. This time on Japanology Plus, we explore Japan's deep understanding of earthquakes and meet the people who put that knowledge to use.
Hello and welcome to Japanology Plus. I'm Peter Baraka. I'm in the grounds of Toji, one of Kyoto's most famous temples. Its best-known feature is the 5-story pagoda that you see behind me, Japan's tallest wooden structure. It was originally built over 1,000 years ago. Wood being susceptible to fire, it's been burnt down 4 times in the interim. The current pagoda is about 370 years old. But although it's been burnt down, it's never been destroyed by earthquake, and that's essential to our program today. We're going to be taking a look at the ingenuity of Japan's ancient construction techniques, the same techniques that are being used today in state-of-the-art earthquake-proof buildings.
Earthquakes happen all across Japan, and the strongest cause tremendous damage. If you include smaller, barely perceptible tremors, Japan recorded over 6,500 earthquakes in 2016 alone. For that reason, Japanese buildings are required by law to conform to a certain level of earthquake resistance. But what does that mean in practice? To find out, we took a look at the foundations of a building in Tokyo.
This way, please. Take a look at that yellow object. It moves during an earthquake, reducing the amount of shaking to less than 1/10. Even during a very strong earthquake, furniture doesn't fall over, and TVs don't fly across the room.
The device can slide in all directions, absorbing the vibrations before they reach the building. All the buildings, like the one on the right-hand side of this diagram, are fixed tightly to the ground. In contrast, newer constructions, like the one on the left, have freely moving supports that soak up the tremors. Other buildings use large blocks of rubber to achieve the same effect. They are attached to the base of the structure. The rubber moves with earthquakes to absorb their impact. Yet another method is based on the extraordinary idea of actually making a building float. The concept, which is still in development, involves activating an air tank within a second of detecting an earthquake, lifting the entire structure off the ground using air pressure. This new method would reduce the intensity of vibrations to around 1/30th, even during earthquakes too strong to stand up in. Japan's tallest building, Tokyo Skytree, is similarly advanced. The key is the pillar running right through its center. It's designed to shake at different intervals to the rest of the structure, so the vibrations cancel each other out.
Okay, stop.
At this stage, the quantity of air can't be accurately measured. The workers adjust it using experience and intuition.
Okay. Let's stop doing it here. Now let's do it over there.
When it's exposed to air, the concrete soon begins to set. The speed at which it does so varies according to the temperature and humidity, so it must be poured perfectly. If done correctly, the concrete will set evenly. One of the workers has been involved in constructing earthquake-resistant concrete buildings for 50 straight years.
For years, I've been known as the concrete fiend. I pour heart and soul into this work.
You might think you can just pour it out, but you'd be wrong. The material itself has to meet an appropriate standard for quality, and you need experienced professionals for the pouring. If it cracks in an earthquake, that's pretty embarrassing.
The chief explains that the construction of earthquake-resistant buildings relies on skill and every worker's commitment.
What I'm looking out for is total commitment from every worker. They must be determined to craft the ultimate building using the ultimate skills. And that's what we see at this site. The most important thing is for everyone to give their all. Every ounce of their technique and ingenuity. That's what we focus on each day.
Earthquakes have always been an unavoidable feature of life in Japan. But Ueda thinks there's a problem on the horizon.
Japan's not an easy place to live in. We have both hot and cold weather, heavy rain, and earthquakes too. It's not like we're a big, sturdy cruise liner, more like a wobbly little sailboat. We're all aboard, so we have to help each other out. In the past, people would meet up regularly to discuss local issues. If there were 10 households in the village, 10 people would be there. They'd talk about how to manage nearby rivers, for example. Everyone would give their opinion, so everyone built up their practical knowledge. That leads right up to the present day.
So, where do we go from here?
We have to choose which direction to go in. How should our communities be structured? Maybe apartment blocks should be organized like villages, with everyone discussing the issues. They should want to know about the building where they live. I think people should really be involved in securing the safety of their place of residence. If people learn what kind of neighbors they have in their building or their community, they can exchange all sorts of information. That needs to be shared in their community.
Community?
Yes, in their community.
Well, even just this year we've had earthquakes, floods, all kinds of natural disasters, just like one after another. You never know what's coming next, you never know when it's coming next. So what you're saying about people coming together as a community to deal with these things as they happen has to be a very important thing.
Group spirit is said to be a feature of the Japanese. It's vital. In the past, people all got together to put on festivals and events. If you have group spirit, everyone helps each other out in times of disaster too. But these days, people just want public organizations and local government to take care of things. Or they think technology will sort everything out. It's an unfortunate reality that young people aren't interested in that kind of group dynamic. And I think this will be a big problem for Japan in the future.
Getting back to localism.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next time on Japanology Plus, School Sports Days. We look at some of the much-loved features of this quintessentially Japanese event.